What's up, you guys? It's Greg. So let's take a look at another reaction video. This is a show where I go and comment on other people's finances and how they spend their money. So let's take a look at living on $24K a year in Seoul, South Korea, Millennial Money. Also, Seoul's a major city, so $24,000 a year is not a lot of money. It'll be interesting to see how she spends it.
I could not afford this lifestyle if I was living in the US because I go to cafes every weekend. But if I was living in the US...
Is there a shirt backwards right there? Is that a backwards shirt? I don't know.
I would be paying for a car.
I always pitch, this show is always a financial show where I look at their finances, but I always notice these weird things about their clothes. I don't know.
I'd be paying for insurance for that car. I'd be paying a huge amount for health insurance. And most likely, most of my paycheck would be going towards rent. So now I probably couldn't afford a lifestyle like this in the United States.
Man, $24,000 is not a lot of money. She really needs to be saving a lot of that.
My name is Michaela Cricchio. I'm 26 years old. I make $24,000 a year, and I live in Seoul, South Korea. I'm an English teacher in South Korea. I work at an...
I'm assuming that because this is a US show, they've converted her pay into US dollars.
English academy called a Hagwon. I teach kindergarten to elementary school students, and this is my second year teaching in the country.
English is a hard language to teach.
It's not an easy job, but it also depends on what country you decide to go to. I love Korea, but the work culture may be intense for somebody who comes from, Western culture.
So I actually know a little bit about Korean schooling, and they go to school basically all year long, which I think is really interesting. And I guess I never thought about it translating from a school life of going to, your normal 8-month school or however long school is, and then also translating into a summer school, that translating into your work life.
It is not easy to teach English, even if you are a native speaker, because as native speakers, we grew up learning the language differently. And for me, I have actually taught my fair share of grammar classes. And some of the things, the concepts and stuff, I didn't.
This is cool, this apartment that she's in. So if you notice on the right here, glass door that leads to her shower. And keep in mind, she's in her living room area. And then there's the washing machine. That's pretty cool. Instead of just having a dishwasher.
I realize, that I maybe have been using them wrong, whether it's speaking or writing. I worked for 2 different cruise ship companies, and I was able to save a lot of money because it's rent-free, and yes, you do work a lot of hours, but it's rent-free.
If it's rent-free, shouldn't she be able to save more than $6,500? And if you're working 10 hours, they're probably not getting paid the greatest. And I don't know, I would have liked to see the income and her breakdown of her spending.
New culture, customs, food, meet incredible people. You get to meet many expats. I've created such strong friendships.
I'm gonna move myself as I was in the way, but
so many amazing things that I would have never been exposed to if
I think that's the cool thing about taking the time to move abroad is that you get to experience not only other cultures, but also just such different terrain and other architecture and things like that. So that's really cool.
I decided to stay home. Living abroad obviously still has its fair share of problems. If you don't speak the language, it's going to be harder here. I still have a difficult time doing even the most basic things like going to the doctor. And so you have to mentally prepare yourself to deal with.
Have you ever been to an authentic Asian food restaurant and they're just filled with all this stuff that you don't know what it says, but you're like, oh, I want to try that. It all looks like it's going to be good. It's in the green packaging and the noodles look like they'd be good.
With even going to the grocery store can be hard. I'm good with money now that I'm older. Before I wasn't, but I've learned a lot living on my own and living abroad and realizing I'm on my own out here, 7,000 miles away from where I grew up.
I'm liking this so far. She's not paying for housing, which she said before in the video. This food right here at $391. You are a single woman. You need to spend less on food. Granted, food might be more expensive there, but come on, you got to bring that food budget down. I mean, almost $400 a month on food. It's not only groceries, But going out to eat, that's just too much. I do like that she has savings at $650, discretionary at almost $200. That's totally fine if she's spending on experiences, but if she's spending on dumb things like trinkets, and that's just absolutely too much. Utilities normal, transportation, it's actually kind of low for transportation. I want to know what her student loans are at, because only at $100, you know that she's got some big student loans. Because if she went over there and was only making $24,000, she probably didn't have the opportunity to pay off her student loans before going over there. So I'd like to see what her loan balance is, because she's only paying $100 a month. Her student loan is probably massive, because they charge you almost nothing for those, or the minimum payment for those is almost nothing. Health insurance, that's really good. You can't get that in the US.
My rent is actually covered by my school, which is very nice. So that takes a huge chunk out of my expenses.
So is this like government housing then? Like not government housing, but like is this housing provided by the school system? So owned by the government. That would be cool to kind of look into that a little bit.
But
I like this. I don't mind this.
So
setup.
that takes
Here where, for a single person, this is like a perfect amount of space. Granted, you don't have a ton of room for activities, but like you got your bed and your living room TV area. Like you don't necessarily have a sitting area, but she's probably not spending a lot of time at home anyway. Bathroom, sink, walk-in shower. That's all you really need. Super functional. I like it.
Huge chunk out of my expenses. But as an English teacher in South Korea, you're responsible for covering your utilities. So that's electric, hot water, gas,
it's still a
and
good
your
deal
internet.
though.
But all those things are really, really cheap compared to what you would pay. And
so let's say you actually make $36,000 and you teach in the US, so $12,000 more than she makes. Just for having to pay for your own rent, it's almost going to become a wash. But granted, teachers like firefighters and police officers don't necessarily always have the best healthcare options. So if she has decent healthcare in Korea, it actually might be a wash to her making less money but getting free housing and better healthcare. You see $24,000 and you're like, how is that even possible? Like she's losing money being there. Honestly, it's looking like it could be an okay setup, especially if food is somehow cheaper there than it is here. That makes a lot of sense, and to where she could be saving some money.
My internet's very low. It's maybe around $15 a month. And then for the utilities, that's under $100. So I try to go to the grocery store every week because I try to cook at home as much as I can because I go out.
So her almost $400 of food budget is actually her going out to eat, because $35 a week is only $140 a month. So she's spending quite a bit of money going out to eat there. So again, you got to bring it in a little bit. You got to tighten up on the food budget.
Weekends, so I know where I have to cut back. This is also like where my budgeting comes in, because I usually only try to eat out 2 times a week. In Korea, the produce, like the fruits and vegetables, they are so expensive here. So I only get like a select few of like buying fruits and vegetables. I mainly try to eat rice, the cheaper frozen vegetables, and some of the meats, but
that banana in a package
can be a little bit more pricey here, I would say.
Why was that banana in a package?
On a typical weekend, I usually spend around $35 at the most, going to one cafe and one restaurant. Do you? Because I have plenty of photos.
That's steep. $35 for one restaurant and one cafe.
If we're talking birthday celebration, going away parties for friends that are leaving, that's going to cost a little bit more. So I would add about $10, $15 to that amount.
So what we're gathering here is she has no control over her food spending.
I wasn't
15
paying
grand
before because of the COVID relief, which is still actually going on now. But because of the interest, I decided to pay on the principal so that I can get more knocked off. I started paying about $100 a month, which was about $10 more than I was paying. But when I have extra money lying around, I will up that cost to maybe $130 a month.
So take this video as what not to do when budgeting. If I have extra money laying around, is not the way to pay off debt. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I'm paying $10 more than I was. Come on.
The goal is to have it paid within the next 3 or, maybe adding on extra year, 4 years, because my mindset has changed.
3 to 4 years with $100 a month? and make some drastic changes to get this thing paid off.
At first, I said, I'm going to be paying this off forever, so might as well just get used to it, right? But then I wanted to start.
It's sad because so many people have that mentality, and I know I've been pausing a lot in this section. It's sad because so many people have that mentality. They get in their student loan debt, and then they just go and they go buy cars, and they go buy houses, or house, singular. And then they're just, well, I'm just never going to pay this off, and this is just going to be my life. And then they just try to enjoy the cracks that the rest of the money falls through after your mortgage payment, your car payment, your insurance, your student loan payment, all the other debt that you take out. You know, you buy a boat, an RV, things like that, and then you just enjoy the rest of the money that trickles down. And it's never very much. And it's really sad because that's a mentality that a lot of people have in the US because we don't teach financial education in our school systems. Sorry, that's a side note. Just sorry.
Changing my financial mindset and saying, like, you can do this. You can pay it off in a shorter amount of time. I try to put half of my paycheck into my savings account, and then I have to divvy up those other amounts for student loans and for investing. So I do it all myself.
Honestly, putting half your paycheck is really, really difficult. We did for a period of time, we were saving 40% off the top of our paycheck, both my wife and I combined, and that honestly catapulted us to a different level of financial freedom because we were able to knock out so much debt. We were able to pay off a car, fund an emergency fund, everything like that. So her saving half, or at least attempting to save half, is starting on the right foot. I know I've been a little bit hard on this girl with how she's spending her money, but she is trying. Perhaps doesn't necessarily have the support system behind her there, and also she kind of wants to live her life. So I see it a little bit. I definitely would personally make some tweaks as I've said throughout this video, but she's on the right path, and at least having the mindset, hey, I want to pay it off sooner. I'm going to try to save half my income, and it's really hard when you don't make a ton of money because she's only bringing in $1,800, $2,000 a month. I can see this.
I feel content about the money I make here in South Korea. I'm the type of person I don't need a lot of.
I actually would probably be okay if she upped her traveling budget just because she is in another country. So that way she doesn't feel constricted to the fact that she can't travel and explore that country for that time that she is there. Because I would hate for her to feel like she's missing out.
I need to be happy. I needed enough to travel. And that's really just about it for me. Travel and experience new things. People from the outside looking in would say $24,000 a year, that's nothing. How do you live? Like, I know it's a very small amount, but for me, it really doesn't matter. As I said, as long as I have enough money to travel, I'm completely okay with, making enough to cover my basic needs and do the traveling.
I support this woman. She's enjoying life, and that's all that matters.
Living here when it comes to my family and some friends that I have back home because, I've been relying on FaceTime the past year or so. But
yeah,
with
tough.
My friends here, I've been lucky enough to find fellow expat, English-speaking friends here. So it's really nice to have people that have the same mindset as you, have the same job as you, have the same reasons for coming to South Korea as you do. It feels absolutely surreal now to actually be able to travel. Never thought that I was going to leave the United States. Living a nomadic lifestyle to me means working for my computer and maybe working for an English school part-time because I do like to teach English. I just don't know if I want to continue it full time. I also do a little bit of freelancing on the side.
She wants to travel.
I'm hoping that I can change that into a full-time career, which will allow me to live anywhere in the world, work for any company. The biggest misconception about living abroad is that it's not all sunshine and rainbows, the perfectly edited photos that you see on Instagram. It's still real life, just in a different place that just happens to speak a different language and have a different flag.
So the audio cut out in the video, so we got to end this video here, but make sure to head over to CNBC Make It and say thank you for creating the Millennial Money series and just let them know your appreciation from it. They're really cool to watch. They're really cool to react to. If you liked this video and this reaction, make sure to like button for the YouTube algorithm. That would really help me out. Also, if you want more finance, real estate, and reaction content, make sure to hit that subscribe button. That way you get notified every time I post a new video. But anyways, thanks for watching. I'll catch you next video.